like this, don't come in a box score. Keenan with the Kel, just give me the rock more. Weather off the glass, nothing but the net. I'ma get you set, pick and roll, we can go with the whole four. Dick Vitale, look at diaper dandy. NCAA with the great handy.
Welcome to another episode of the Courtside Conference Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Scott, back ready for the NBA season, right around the corner. Today's special guest, my guy, future beat writer, a homie from the group chat, my guy, Nate. What's good, Nate?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm straight. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Everything's good.
Gotcha. So you back in school, right?
Yeah, that's right. School's a little stressful right now. School and work, girlfriend, all that. But, I'm taking care of business.
You holding down. That's what's up. You had to work today?
Nah, but I've just been working on the weekends mostly, but I commute back and forth. I'm driving like an hour back to get working and stuff. So it's tough, but, it's the life of a college student, I guess.
I feel you. Your last year, right?
Yeah, senior year. Almost
Going back
done.
for your master's or anything?
That's not in the plans right now, but I'm gonna see where I end up after internships or whatever by the end of this year, and then we'll go from there.
So you're looking at internships for like writing opportunities, or?
Yeah, man. I've been talking to the athletic director at my school, trying to figure out if there's something I could do with the school's basketball team here. So hopefully that works out. That'd be awesome, but we'll see where that goes.
Nice. Wishing you the best of luck, my guy.
Thank you, my man.
Let's get to the hoops. Before we start, you a C's fan just like me, of course.
Of course.
So what was the first year the team caught your attention? You started being a fan.
First year, that's a great question. Honestly, I might be dating myself here, but as a youngin at least, but I feel like Rondo was really the first player to catch my eye as far as like bringing me into like loving the team. Obviously growing up in Massachusetts, I watched the team, but basketball back then wasn't even really my number one sport. I was playing as a kid, playing like football, baseball, all that, but Rondo and that '08 Celtics team, that era really brought me in. And then Isaiah coming after that really solidified that love for me.
Definitely. That's what everybody say though, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody that's in our age range, they're gonna say Rondo.
Yeah. He's the one, man. No one was more fun, exciting to watch.
I think we got to see him when he was actually his career just starting to.
Yeah,
by the time we got in the ball,
that was his
Paul
peak
and I was
too.
Up there. Yeah, those good days.
He was cold, man.
He still turned on every now and then when he feel like it.
You know about the myth of playoff Rondo?
Playoff Rondo.
he's special when the lights get bright.
Prime time Rondo.
Yeah, exactly.
You excited for this season?
Yeah, this is probably the most excited I've been in the last handful of years. Everything just feels like it's lining up to go in a great direction. Obviously, I don't want to jinx anything, but it just seems like the team we have has a chance to be so much better than what we've seen the past few years as far as, ball movement, defense, just togetherness overall. I'm just really high on what we can do here.
Definitely. I feel you finally got nice supporting talent for Jalen, Jason, Marcus, all their skill set.
Exactly.
For bad. Hopefully Rob can stay healthy for the majority of the season.
That's one of the biggest question marks there, but that's very important. Rob being healthy, yeah.
Romeo finally looking ready though. I like that.
Yeah, that's not super surprising to me because I really liked what he did in Summer League. I know some people were still like, I wanted to see more, but I'm pretty sure he was trying not to really overstep, He just does what you need a guy in that role to do, and as long as he's hitting those threes, he's gonna get his minutes.
Right.
He's a great defender. Day one he came in, he was locking dudes down, even on like low minutes, he was doing his thing. So it's just weird to think, he was the offensive like star prospect and just totally switched up what he's able to do. But I love it.
I love it.
And Grant too, man. You know, that might be the biggest surprise is Grant's resurgence so far in preseason.
Yeah, I'll give it to Grant. Grant looking slim, moving a lot better than he did last year.
Right?
Hopefully he can knock down some jumpers at a more consistent rate. Or at least just finish plays anywhere, really.
If he's hitting corner threes, that's about all we need from him. You know, he's bringing a little bit else. I really like the IQ from what I've seen defensively. He losing the weights clearly helped him become more switchable, so that's a big plus. But I really liked the quote I saw the other day that apparently right as Udoka signed, he actually hit him up and asked him like what he was looking for from Grant. So I think that was pretty cool to see. So we'll see what direction that goes. But I'm excited for Romeo and Grant are two of the guys that I kind of thought of when you brought up you wanted to talk about Celtics roster. Those are the guys that immediately stood out to me.
Definitely. I'm looking for not a big jump, but a moderate jump from Neesmith. I think he can be pretty useful this year as long as the jumpers fall and as long as he just puts himself in the right spot to stay on the floor, I guess I should say. So sometimes last year he looked a bit lost, like in his the early games he played, but then later in the season, once the minutes were kind of there, he looked more comfortable. And he looked great during some of the league too.
Yeah, I mean, we all know about the jump shot. That really came around by the end of the year. It's just the stuff you like to see is he does all the little, hustle and he's just is in the right spot. He defensively he's got the IQ and he's in the right position a lot of the time, but I really think it's just building off what he did in summer league because he might have been the most impressive guy to me. As far as what it looked like he could do. So if he's able to, hit those one dribble pull up type shots, I mean, I don't want him taking those every time. I'd like to see him hitting threes and get into the rim, but it just shows he can expand his offensive game a little bit. That'd be pretty huge for us.
Absolutely. My favorite thing about all the wings on the team is that it's like so many different skill sets, I guess, intertwined. Like you got Jalen, Jason, Jay Rich, Romeo, Neesmith, and they're all like fundamentally different players, which gives us a lot of versatility depending on the matchups. Like you need more shooting some nights you have it. You need to go like more defensive lineup some nights you'll have it. You got Richardson who can be like a fringe playmaker here and there and find guys when necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter. They're kind of souring on Jay Rich already. I don't think that's really fair. I mean, I understand it because those mid-range shots, he's just been consistently bricking them, and that's not great. You want to see him getting to the rim and hitting his threes, but I think it's a learning process for him as he gets adjusted to this new team. I think the role he was in with the Mavericks last year wasn't great. So I do think it's a big adjustment for him coming into the system. But I expect him to actually figure it out. I'm more confident in that than others seem to be. Because really point of attack defense from him it's probably better than a handful of the guys on our team, especially at the guard spot. So I think when it comes to that, he's going to be very valuable for those tough guard matchups with some of the stars. Not that he's going to lock them down or anything per se, but you can eat up a lot of minutes with him chasing those guys around the perimeter and not have Jalen and Tatum have to do that as much anymore,
Yeah. And then we got Dennis there as our probably the best backup guard we've had and since a long time, really.
Since Terry though. Probably since Rozier.
Unless you want to count Marcus when he was a backup all those years.
Yeah. The thing is, he just is clearly a starting point guard, So having a guy like that off the bench, it's kind of different than what we've had in the past. But I guess Marcus was a similar way. You always felt like he could be the starter, but he kind of took the sacrifice. And I'm happy to see that Dennis is on board with that.
Definitely. For Dennis was I think he had a better season last year with Los Angeles than he got credit for. Because once AD and Bron went out, then the team's whole like style of playing offense like really went along with them. But like when he was on the floor with those, I think he was actually like really, really good. So he's a good defender, good passer. He's made leaps as a shooter since he first got drafted. And all around, he's just a really smart player to add to this core too. So I think it's a perfect fit, really.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great fit because the one thing we really do lack, I mean, shooting is still a question mark. I think we're going to be fine in that area, but it's really the rim pressure that he puts on other teams. No one can really stay in front of him. And when you pair him with a big man like, Rob, who can just dunk on anybody's face, catch lobs and stuff like that, it becomes way easier. And just that pressure they're going to have to collapse, leave Jason and Jalen open. I just think it's a perfect fit. And I'm really glad that he actually chose us because it feels good when these free agents start coming to join the Jays. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Definitely. Fast. And you may have been talking about wanting to play a lot faster this year too. And we find out all the pieces to really get out there and run in transition. I think Jalen and Tatum was both top 10 in transition points last season. I think Jalen might have actually been like third or fourth behind Giannis and De'Aaron Fox maybe.
Yeah, I mean as far as how like efficient they were and like points per possession, like when they actually were in transition, how well they scored, they were up at the top, but we really didn't run in transition as much as we should have. So that would be great to see them get back to. And there was a play in the last preseason game where they had Romeo. He grabs the defensive rebound and just takes it full court for the layup. And that's the type of stuff I want to see. You don't have to attack against a set defense every time. Just push that ball. Even if it's not a full transition, you can still push it hard like that. So that's the type of stuff I want to see. And we have the guys for it. So might as well.
Exactly. And Rob, even before he was getting like consistent minutes, the first thing he do every time he grabbed a defensive rebound is try to hurry up and kick it back out. And that got like annoying because a lot of guys just weren't ready.
Yeah.
But like I love that the attempt is right there because as soon as he's like mid-air trying to get the ball back out the push-up court.
Yeah, I mean I love it too. He really had a bunch of turnovers like that. But that's not that big a deal. You want to see guys, especially big men, looking to start the break, and especially as good of a passer as he is, he should be very much encouraged to keep going for passes like that.
Absolutely. Then you worried about the double bid starting lineup that we'll probably will see?
I've been thinking it's not what I wanted to go with. I would have preferred to go a bit smaller and just start with Rob, but at the same time, I think it works so much better than the double bigs we had last year with, Tyson, Tristan. They didn't make any sense, man. Those are terrible lineups, but the spacing that both Rob and Al bring, they do it in different ways. Rob is just probably one of the better lob threats in the league, and that's spacing in its own right. And then Al he's a real threat as a shooter, so it's not exactly the same, and I think it's fine. Like I said, it's not what really I would be starting probably, but I think it's going to work pretty good either way. So it is something that I wanted to see them go with throughout the game, but again, probably not what I wanted to start.
Yeah, I was hoping one of the wings would kind of like make a name for themselves during training camp, like maybe one of Romeo, Richardson, and Neesmith jumped out.
Mm-hmm.
But Ime's been singing Horford praises since camp started, so it seems like he's a shoe-in for the starting spot whenever he gets back from quarantine. But I like it because him and Rob, they're both good passers.
Mm-hmm.
Rob is improving as a defender, and Horford, he's lost like some mobility. He always puts himself in good positions and always knows how to rotate. He's vocal out there. He's a good shooter, rebounding. I'm not really worried about they'll rebound as a team, so I'm not really worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, Al does it all, man. You know him.
Yeah, we love Al. I said, and it's not really. It doesn't kill our spacing like last year because
No.
neither Thompson or Tice could even shoot like a 10-foot jumper consistently. And now, since Al's older, I expect he'll spend most of his offensive possessions on the perimeter, unless teams like playing zone, then they'll probably throw him in the middle, or unless he
Mm-hmm.
wants to slow it down and then throw him in the middle again so he can make a play for himself or somebody else. And then him on the perimeter also allows Tatum to get more post touches this season, which Ime
Mm-hmm.
also been emphasizing since he got hired too.
Exactly. I mean, bully ball. You know that.
Need
It, he's going. I mean, he can go, man. You match Tatum up with a smaller guy, there's nothing they can do. So that's that's the best part. It's going to lead to a lot more fouls, which is what they said was a big focus for Tatum this year. So I'm waiting to see that, but I really expect him to feast this year. I wouldn't put it past him for him to be top 5 in scoring when it's said and done.
Yeah, I said teams gotta start picking their poison with Tatum a lot better this season. Because last season they could afford to double him and sit in the house at him because he was kicking out and passing a semi a lot, passing the Grant who couldn't really make a shot, who couldn't knock down his jumpers, who
Mm-hmm.
other and a bunch of other friends guys who weren't really ready for more than like 10 minutes a game. But
Yeah,
now,
I
like I
mean,
said, with improved
we got
space, you either
shooters
gotta
now.
exactly. So you either gotta let Tatum go 1-on-1 and get his bucket, or send him to the line, or if you do
Mhm.
send a house at him, then he's gonna kick it back out to a more capable shooter or finisher at the rim. So it's like can't lose.
Yeah, I
Then
mean, we got lineups no matter what you do. We got lineups where there's consistent shooters, or if they double, we got a lot more cutting now, which is one of the best things I've seen so far from this new offensive system is just off-ball movement and cutting. So if they do double Tatum, that offense is just gonna be flowing completely. You know, there's gonna be guys open at the three. There's gonna be guys cutting into the paint. It's just you like you said, you got to pick your poison, and it is poison, you know, there's no good choice there.
there's no good choice. Get Tatum a bucket, get somebody else a bucket. Yeah,
Mhm.
what you want to do? So where do you see the team like projecting at the end of the season?
You know, that's a tough question, but I'm gonna say top 3 feels really likely with everything that's going on with the Nets right now. That seems like the hardest team to really pin down. But
Yeah,
like you expect them still. They got to be up top. I feel like the Bucks are just consistent high win team, even if they're not, even if maybe they take a step back. I've heard some talk. People think that that's possible, but at the same time, you know, Celtics are right there with them as far as what I think they can do. So yeah, I'm saying top 3.
are you worried about Miami?
And I'm not scared of Miami. Like, yeah, Miami could be a good regular season team as far as wins and stuff like that. But when it gets down to it, that team doesn't scare me. Lowry's that guy, but at the same time, I don't think they have enough firepower for us anymore. Especially with how good I think the Celtics defense is about to be. That team doesn't scare me like that.
I feel you. I'm with it. I do like the Lowry sign though, but I feel like they would have got Lowry maybe about 2 years ago. I'd be like more worried. But at
Yeah,
this point, I think
exactly.
he's
He's no
starting to.
world beater, you know. He's
Yeah,
a great player, but he's not championship level anymore. I mean, he's still a great player. Don't take this the wrong way, but you know, I see him like keeping them very competitive, but I don't think he's the guy that pushes that team over the edge.
yeah, I don't think so. I think he's gonna help Bam have a career year though, if nothing else.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like,
Bam should definitely take a step forward. He's got to be. I think last year he was just under 20 points or something like that. That's got to be closer to like 25 this year.
definitely a 20 and 10 guy this year. Easy
Hmm.
money for him, really.
Hmm.
Let's see. What do you think about Atlanta? You think they're gonna make another leap, or you think last year they just got, I don't want to say lucky, but you think they just kind of got a good matchups all throughout the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean that's part of it, but at the same time, was pretty eye-opening for me, I'd say. Honestly, wasn't much of a Trey fan or really believer. I know what the guy can do, of course. I mean, he's a great talent, but at the same time, I didn't think that would translate to postseason success as much as it did. Um, but really, what it also showed me was how much depth that Atlanta team actually has. They really do have a lot of guys. It feels similar to the Celtics, where you feel like they got a lot of guys that can really plug in and play when they need to. Guys like Herder coming off the bench. I don't know if he'll be starting this year, what their lineup will look like exactly, but John Collins he's not incredible, but I think he's a pretty damn good player. Capella really showed me something in that playoff run too. Um, I don't know. I think that's just a solid team, and they were missing a few guys in that run too. I don't think they had DeAndre Hunter much or if at all, so
And they have it
that
all.
could be pretty big for them too.
I think Cam Reddish only played like 3 games, maybe that whole playoff run.
Yeah, I'm a Reddish guy too, so we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see where that goes, but
I'll
I
say.
still got a little faith in him.
I have some faith in him. It's not that he
Yeah.
can't play. It's like he just doesn't finish plays for some reason.
Yeah, he's still loading, man.
Like it was funny because everything looks so fluid and like nice with him. It's just the ball doesn't go in the hoop
Uh-huh.
for him yet. He's gonna get there though. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's been like kind of his story for years now. Even back at Duke, everything looked great, but he wasn't putting up the numbers. He wasn't really converting everything. But yeah, I think he's in a good spot right now. As far as making him a like really solid all-around player. I don't think it's going to be great for him putting up monster stats or anything, but I think this is a good situation for him too.
A lot of people got DeAndre Hunter on their most improved list for this coming
Mhm.
season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's top three for me. I've kind of been thinking a lot about my most improved picks, but I think he'd be up there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good player. He's a lot better early on than I thought he would be. I thought he'd be kind of like a project in the league. But seeing like his rookie year and from what he did play last year, that he was already like a real impact defender for that team. So and he's
Yeah,
knocking down shots at a higher clip than I thought he was this early in his career too.
yeah, he's very solid. That was a good pick for them.
Definitely. What you think about the Knicks?
You said Knicks?
Yeah, the good old Knicks. Are they back?
Oh man, that team. I'm actually excited to see what that team can do this year because last year was great for them. That was a good first year under Tibbs. But at the same time, we know what Tibbs is about. He likes to run guys and grind their knees to dust. So we'll see how long Kemba lasts. I honestly, I have no ill will for Kemba. I hope the best for him, but I'm just interested to really see what him and Fournier do in that system. And there's been a lot of talk about how good the Knicks are going to be, and I don't say I don't believe in them, but I feel like a little bit of last year, Julius
Yeah,
Randle, is he that guy? Is he really that level for like moving
man.
forward? We'll see.
The playoffs told us he wasn't, but I mean,
Uh-huh.
hey, guys can always bounce back though. I like what I'm seeing from RJ the last couple of years though. I think he took like a real
RJ,
big leap last season.
yeah, RJ is a very solid player. I've said that I don't know if he's number one level guy. Um, but I guess it depends what you mean. If they put solid talent around him eventually, I think that's a really good team. But I don't think he's that type of player that really can lead like a championship team. But I do think if he's your number two with great players around him, then he can win a championship with that. I think he's going to be that type of guy.
Yeah, it's just mainly it's just the IQ for him the whole time,
Hmm.
pretty much.
Hmm.
Even since going back at Duke, it's like he gets tunnel vision a lot, which is that happens for like score first guys.
Hmm.
So he just needs to continue like feeling his way out through games instead of trying to force the action when it's not there. Which last year I feel like he did a really good job just like fitting in and playing good and smart ball Tibbs had the whole team kind of locked in defensively.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
mean, he'll get there. I mean, you see, I'm not gonna say they're the same player or anything, but I feel like RJ is a hard worker, and we saw how bad Jalen's tunnel vision was early on. Jalen
yeah,
Brown, that is, and he's made great strides when it comes to that. So I think that that's something that players can easily, maybe not easily, but can definitely improve on when it comes to just getting the game reps and working on that stuff in the off season. So I think he'll get there as far as getting rid of some of that tunnel vision.
definitely. It's just about doing the work early in possessions, making sure you know your spots well, know how to move off ball, which but a lot of guys really don't work on. So
Hmm.
because they come up from high school, used to having the ball in their hand, so they get to a lead, they think they got to score to be able to make the impact or be able to handle the ball to get their own buckets. So in reality, you can just play defense well, get in transition, catch some lives, knock down
Hmm.
some open jumpers. So straight.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, cool. So yeah, and what's his name? Nerlens finally found a team he fit in last year. So hopefully he keeps playing well for them too.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Nerlens.
Shout out to Nerlens,
I've always,
Massachusetts
I've
legend.
always, yeah, man. I've always wanted him to come to the Celtics, but I think that dream's probably dead, you know. But
Yeah,
I'm very happy that he's found like you say, a home. You know, it's a good fit for him. So I'm glad he's also kind of resurrected his career and bounced back from, the whole Rich Paul and Maverick situation. So good for him.
he's definitely our favorite team on the East Coast. What about Philly?
Oh my God, what can you even say about Philly at this point?
But Ben Simmons is
Philly,
back.
is he, man? Like, is he back? Yeah, he showed up to the building and his key probably got declined, man. You know, like
Right.
la, last I heard, he, he hadn't talked to them since August or something. Was the last time he had a conversation with that front office. So I have no clue if he's gonna end up playing games. I have a hard time seeing that, but at the same time, nobody's trying to trade for this guy. It feels like it's a really weird situation that we don't
It's,
see very often.
I feel like the trade offers are there. It's just not the trade offer that Maury wants, or one he probably would have got like 2 years ago when everybody thought Ben was still on his way up there.
Yeah, man, he was probably thinking he was getting Harden, and now he might get Malik Beasley if he's lucky, you know?
Exactly, man. It's humbling.
Yeah.
He might make out
You
this
know,
with just Harrison Barnes and Marvin Bagley or something.
yeah, he fumbled this one for sure, but he, they let Simmons, his trade value get to literally an all-time low. It couldn't be worse right now, and nothing about how the situation went down makes it any better for really either side to find a deal. So I don't know how this ends up, honestly. It's going to be really interesting to see if he's actually playing games for them because I don't think Joel really wants that. He can't exactly come out and say it, but I don't think he wants this man back.
I don't think so either. And at this point, it's like I don't think any of them should want to continue this pairing, but to save face a little bit in the public eye and kind of stop the distraction that this whole situation has caused, they kind of have to tolerate each other for at least another couple months, maybe. But if he's
Yeah,
not playing games, though, then that even blows it up even bigger. So it's such a slippery slope.
yeah, I mean, I guess this is step one for him to be playing games is just showing up. So maybe that's the direction it's going. He'll play and try and rebound some of that value when teams see him on the court again. Because I mean, it gets lost in all this somehow, but I really do think that he's still a great player. Just hard to justify when it comes to his contract and what we've seen him do in the playoffs. So it's hard finding this deal. I think for any team, they got to think, are we going to commit all these resources to a guy that we're not really sure he can provide in a playoff setting? But yeah, this is probably one of the weirder situations in the league, but yet it's still probably not even ahead of the whole Kyrie situation. So
Oh man. Before we get to Kyrie. Nah, but Ben
yeah.
is at worst, he's a floor raiser. So he'll go to a bad team and
Hmm.
compete for a playoff spot no matter where. Or he'll take a middle of pack team, maybe add them like a handful more wins. But I don't think
Hmm.
he's pushing any team to like the title contenders, which is what Maury is trying to sell everybody on in order to get the value back he wants.
Yeah, I mean you're absolutely right, but the problem with that is that if Maury's trying to sell guys on that, he should just be keeping Ben. You know,
Exactly.
if he's taking you over the top like that, then maybe just keep him. So
Exactly. And I think that's what teams are kind of like calling his bluff. So he's probably like, yeah,
yeah,
this guy is great. He'll get you over this hump. And they're like, okay, so keep him
yeah,
instead of trying to
right.
trade me a half a decade worth of draft picks for. Then just like, then he's got his
Yeah,
house for
more.
sale too.
Oh
Apparently, the
my
house is empty
God.
from what they say.
Yeah, I don't. Where is he living right now? Is he staying at like the Best Western or something,
that
man? What's he doing?
man staying in like the luxury apartment on a short-term lease at the moment. he, he got a 6 months lease. He allowed to stay there till he got it on renew. But let's get to the start of the afternoon. No Kyrie, of course. Next told him full time or bust. Ain't no
Yeah,
part
man.
time positions available in this company, buddy.
That's I'm really glad they did that though, to be honest with you, because it just dawned on me today, would they wouldn't have wanted to have a look like that where they're giving their star player all this leeway to do that, and where the rest of the team's buying in, say just some random bench player like, I guess he's not random, but like Bruce Brown or something saying, I'm not getting the vaccine, I'm not getting the vaccine. They're not running through hoops to make him a part-time player, so I think it's good that they took a stand and they're not letting Kyrie pull this on them.
Yeah, so you let one guy get away with, then you open the floodgates for the rest of the team or even another team to have to go through this whole issue. So they
Hmm.
nipped it in the bud, get vaxxed, to come play or don't play. I mean, so we'll see how long he holds out.
You know, I was thinking before we got on is that probably the best scenario, just as far as humor and interest, would be a Kyrie for him and swap. I know that's not looking like a possibility, but I just think that would be the funniest thing possible to happen.
More, I think Mario or some source from the Sixers came out an hour or two ago and said they're not interested, which that's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more Brooklyn's not interested in that, man.
Exactly. They probably did already try. They said, eh. But now the Nets strong. They're gonna still be competitive without them. They got KD and Harden, so that's all you need for a regular season.
Yeah, that's all you need. They got to stay healthy though, because one of those dudes goes down, that's a totally different team. Both of them on the court, that's still a championship team. Either of them down, that's going to be problems, because as good as that team is with them, it's really not that great when one of them goes down. There's not a lot of firepower besides them. So I don't wish anybody to get hurt or anything, but I do
Yeah,
hope they can just stay healthy. Because I want to see what that team could do with just Kyrie and James, if that's what it comes down to, because that's some offense right there. But
that's a firepower. And Harden is known to hard to lead like a group of YMCA guys like 45 wins. So
right,
of course him and KD gonna still be at the top of the standings for most of the season. So
yeah,
it just those deeper playoff rounds that's going they might miss Kyrie in. But they need a bit shot, need a bucket here, there, need somebody to take some ball handling reps away from Harden or KD for a couple of stretches or so.
right, yeah. But all comes down to health. That's why I have a hard time fully ranking that team is what we're seeing with Kyrie now. Plus, you don't know how many games you're getting out of, like a 33 or so year old Harden, and KD's up there too. It's like those guys aren't getting any younger, man. So we'll see what they can do when it gets down to it. But that I
And
mean, you got to expect that team to still be up at the top of the leaderboards, but they have the most odd scenario going on for them right now. So that's very interesting.
Harden coming off the hamstring tear from last season too, so
Yep.
hopefully his body isn't on a decline and he can still go for the full season like he's been known to. So
Yeah, I mean that's my guy right there, Harden. Lefties probably the best player to watch if you're learning how to play basketball as a left-handed player. Um, but yeah, I'm interested to see how he's gonna start adapting to these new rules because you saw the video from last night or the other day or whatever where he's trying to draw that foul and they weren't going for it. So I'm curious to see where he goes with that. If he
like
just if he invents a whole new foul drawing technique too, we'll see. He's creative like that. He might do it.
he's very free. You're gonna have to really force guys to like literally collapse on him in the paint to get fouls now
Hmm.
instead of the arm. Are they calling the offense foul the arm hook now or?
I don't know. They might just no call that.
Shoot, that works too. Huh?
Yeah, seriously. I want to see. I do want to see all that stuff go on, man. It's like that's not basketball. I I just think it's gotten to a point where guys are practicing foul drawing in the off season, and that's just corny to me. Like let's play the game. Let's make it about a bucket, not trying to get to the line like that.
See, and it would be fine if it's refereed fairly at that, especially
Hmm.
the stopping in transition of having a guy run into the back of you and flop into the ground.
Oh,
And they'll let
that's just sickening. Yeah.
they'll let Trey, Chris Paul, Harden, Steph get away with it, then let one like a lower tier player or a role player try to miss a immediate offensive foul.
Yeah, they don't have enough cred for that. They can't get away with stuff like that if you're a young up and coming guy. You got to earn those.
Exactly. So a lot of these guys gonna have to really work for them buckets now. Hopefully,
Hmm.
that we see
I
a
mean,
return to guys getting more shifty with the post move, especially some of the bigger wings and guards.
mhm.
Or hopefully we don't see an increase in like just spamming threes since the flopping is gone. I hope that's not the scenario. That might be the most likely one for some players. Though.
I
I
mean,
already
this
see
is
Harden taking more threes or Trey taking even more threes.
yeah. I mean, Trey should cool it on the long threes as it is. So
Yeah, definitely. Trey definitely need to get in the middle and get Mitzi with the midi a little bit.
hmm
But let's
absolutely.
pivot to the Western Conference a little bit.
Hmm.
That's a hard one to predict to so many factors, especially with Kawhi out.
Yeah, I mean, we could start right there because I'm, you obviously got Embiid, you got Jokic, you got Giannis going back for the MVP race, but Paul George to me is a major, major dark horse type of guy. Because I mean, the way he ended last season, last playoffs, he was looking great, and he's gonna have a lot of room to work this season with no Kawhi for the foreseeable future. So I really think he's a guy that we should be on the lookout for as far as Western Conference teams. If he's getting in that top half of the standings, then that's a guy you got to look at as a real MVP candidate because that team, they got some guys, but that would be very impressive if he could get them, top five or so in a pretty stacked Western Conference.
We joke on Paul George a lot, but Paul George really one of
Mhm.
them guys when given a chance and given the green light. Like he's taken
Yeah.
the back seat to Kawhi and gave
Hmm.
up some touches so the like other guys on the team could eat a little bit the last few years. But now that the ball is really in his court this season
Hmm.
to score, defend, pass, then we don't see him return to kind of when he was on that MVP level back in OKC. I think we
Yep.
get that for a full season again.
Yeah. I mean, he's really, he's top 10 scoring type of guy. He's that good, but like you said, he's got to take that backseat to Kawhi. He's got to give up those touches. But now that's a big chunk of touches for him. And while we're on the topic of the Clippers, my guy Terrence Mann, I think that's one of the guys I have most improved player. I really have him in the running for that. I think, he didn't really have a crazy season last year, aside from the kind of explosion he had in the playoffs against the Jazz. Just a huge night. What was it, 41 points or something that he put up on them? But that's a lot of touches coming his way, likely. I'd expect him to probably be in the starting lineup. So that's a guy I'm looking out for too.
And Reggie really revitalized his career with it's probably walking around a lot more confident than he was in Detroit.
They picked up Bledsoe too. We'll see where that goes, but I feel like that's a little under the radar. So we'll see if he's got anything left in him.
And I used to like pick on Ty Lue some years back when he was on the Cavs. We used to like that's just LeBron's friend. He doesn't really do it.
Yeah, I mean, that
he's
was
really
the
a great
joke,
coach
man.
though.
Yeah, nobody really thought he was legit, I would say, but he proved himself in the playoffs. I mean, they did some really big things last year.
He's an offensive wizard, really. So he don't find the right mix of guys here and there. And he don't play guys unless they producing. So that's gonna put the battery in everybody back to make sure they really on their P's and Q's every game. So I say T-Man, Reggie, Luke Kennard probably play a lot more this year. So they got some guys who can go out and get some buckets. I said Paul George still an elite defender too. So
yeah, I mean that. Like I said, if that team's getting up there in the standings, we gotta look out for Paul George MVP talk. But that's my early prediction as far as an awards guy. Him and Terrence Mann, those are two guys I'm keeping my eye on.
Do we see the Lakers fit working?
Yeah, I think you just gotta say that it probably works out when you have guys like LeBron and AD. It's really not that hard to play off of two stars like that. They're very easy to work with, and I think you have a lot of opportunity to kind of stagger those minutes and rest the stars. Playing playing Westbrook and AD together seems like a combination that could be really good. You think back to Westbrook and Steven Adams, how a combination like that, really worked well together in OKC. And I mean, AD's a colossal amount better than Steven Adams. So I just think that that's a pairing that I would think would work pretty well. And they have a weird mix of veterans on that team, but a lot of guys that have been around and aren't looking for all those touches, but they just want to fit in. And they're ring chasing, man. I'm not gonna put it lightly. Malik Monk did some interesting stuff this season,
Malik
man.
Monk is a nasty man.
Yeah, he's sick for that. I mean, I really like the guy. He's a great talent.
I wanted him on the Celtics.
Of course, man. I mean,
taking minimum deals to play with the Lakers at like 24. Like, come on, bro.
it's nasty stuff. If he doesn't get a ring out of this one, he might regret that a bit. Like he missed out on some good money for that. So he better hope his lucky stars that team works out.
But if he does get the ring and he does, have a good season, then he might opt out and go re-up on the bag this coming in that summer. So you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I expect him to find a good role on that team. So in the end of the day, it might not be. It'll probably work out for him. I mean, he's gonna get a lot of opportunity. They got Melo coming off the bench too, probably. So they have some weird players together, but it's a lot of guys that have been around, like I said, and I expect them to be fine. As awkward as it is, like the combination of players they got, I think they'll be fine. LeBron and AD, they're just too good for all that. They'll get them right.
I think this year LeBron finally actually does take like a step back for his role for at least the first half of the regular season. So you got Russ, Russ Motor just keeps chugging along. Then AD should, he's like not the youngest player that's Mark, but he's the youngest core like star player or ex all-star guy on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So they should
Yeah,
really
I
be trying
mean,
to get the most out of him finally at this point. Like last time that he had a full healthy season, he led them in everything but assists. So we probably see that again this year.
yeah, that's kind of a scary thought if they can really get away with resting him for a while. Because once playoffs come, we know what that guy's about. He's gonna kick it into gear. So if he's really getting rested for a good portion of the year, that could be trouble, and that's probably where things start to get scary in the playoffs. So I don't think I'd want to play that team with a rested LeBron.
My only concern is the bids and DJ and Dwight.
It's terrible.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
both of them can't get consistent minutes. They could,
no.
but it's just not a good idea.
Nah, I mean, when the Nets, another house team, kicks EJ to the curb, you got to think there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
He's not that guy anymore. He's barely even catching lobs, man. Like that's not DJ anymore. So I struggle to see what type of value he's actually providing for that team. Um, yeah, that's an interesting set of big men behind AD, and hopefully AD actually sticks to his word and he's going to play some more five this year, but we'll see how that one goes. That's probably their most interesting and weird position that they got this year is the five spot.
definitely. That's the only, that five spot's the key to that entire season right there too.
Hmm.
Especially if AD can kind of find the bubble jumper again.
Right. That looked like a little fluke right there, man. Those numbers are something else when you look back at them.
Those numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna see that again. But it's another team out west. I think Denver or Phoenix can make that leap this season. If ever, well, Phoenix they just kept coming off finals run, and Denver they getting Murray back, so they should be right in thick of things, especially if MPJ makes another leap like he's
Yeah.
paid to.
When do they get Murray back? Is there a report for that?
Nah, when did he get hurt?
Man, I don't know. That was a long time ago. I feel like he's
Yeah,
got to be.
he should be probably be back post All Star break around that time. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if he's getting back in this regular season, you got to think that team is at the top of the West. Um, I really am a fan of Jokic, and as much as I don't like Michael Porter the person, he gets buckets.
He
He's
gets
a
buckets.
he's a sniper. Like that guy can shoot the lights out for a dude that's like 6'10", 6'11". So he's pretty special. I actually think a full season with Aaron Gordon um, will be pretty good for them because he wasn't outstanding when he got to that team or anything, but he definitely was a difference maker, and he can do things that not a lot of players on that team can do as far as defending across different positions. So I think that team is you got to look out for them. We know what Jokic can do. He's gonna keep them afloat no matter what. But if they do get Murray back, that team that's a real threat in the playoffs. And
Definitely.
as far as Phoenix, that team, I'm interested to see how the Aiden situation plays out because they're kind of holding out on the bag for him, which is crazy to me after what we just saw him do.
Exactly. He was the most consistent player the whole playoffs, I think. Let's say every time you see Aiden, he doing something a 7-footer should be doing.
Yeah, he's
And I
pulling
really
down 20.
appreciate that.
He's pulling down 20 boards, man. Like this guy was he
Exactly.
was he was playing out of his mind. But
And,
yeah, that blows my mind that they're not really respecting him like that. So I,
uh,
I don't I don't think that'll go too far in the wrong way. But if that gets a little out of control, that team kind of changes drastically. But at the same time, I do think it'll get figured out, and they have a real good chance of getting back to the top of the West with some slight improvement from guys like McHale. I think they'll be right there again.
definitely, I can see it. Let's see. You said yeah, Mikel has to make his kind of improve his offensive game so he can kind of go missing. Like during the finals, he went missing for really long stretches.
Hmm.
Cam Johnson is a guy to look at for that team in terms of what they can do going forward.
Yep.
think he projected better than a lot of people thought he would. He was a real key player, good defense, finished a lot of plays, timely, really timely shooter.
Mm-hmm.
You got the
Yeah.
boss man, of course.
Oh, Jay. Shout out Jay, man.
Shout out Jay Crowder. Jay is always a steady hand, even if it doesn't seem like he's being one.
Yeah, he gets passed around a lot lately, but every team he's gone to, they've been better for it. So
Yeah. Their front court is just a little questionable after Aiden, especially with Sarvik out for probably most of the
they
season.
they bring back Kaminsky. Do they still have him?
I think so.
Yeah, to be honest with you, he was better than I thought during stretches in the playoffs, but that's not really a guy you can rely on. So I think you're right that is pretty shaky for them.
Exactly, which is why they should really be pressing to pay Aiden since he's your only big guy or
Yeah,
only reliable
that
big
should
guy.
be no question right there. They need to get that one inked real quick.
That's a blank check right there. Let me tell it.
Right. Yeah. No, they're playing with him really for no reason, and I can understand why he'd feel disrespected like that, seeing what other guys in his draft class are getting paid and stuff like that. So yeah, I understand where his frustration would come from.
Definitely. Plus, we got out west, and we got the Warriors. I think they made some real subtle improvements. I think Otto Porter's going to be a real good player. That Jordan Poole kid is looking great in preseason.
Yeah, he has.
I like their rookies like Kaminga and Moody a lot. I think there should be, if given the minutes, I think they'll be better than Wiseman was last season.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Otto Porter, first of all, that was a guy I really liked as kind of an under the radar pickup for the Celtics. That obviously didn't happen, but I think he might have a little bit of a redemption arc here where he kind of faded off, fell off the map after being a really solid player. I feel like he has a chance to be, the Clippers, Nick Batum kind of resurgence guy. So he could be that guy for the Warriors, and that would be important for them. Obviously, they're going to get Clay back at some point, which will be huge. But right, like Moody, Kuminga, those guys, I think they're ready for some type of role. Kuminga, he's been getting a lot of Jalen comparisons, at least early Jalen, and I see it a little bit, but I also see it in the kind of role that they're going to give him right away, where it's, he's going to get shaky minutes, but he's going to show probably good flashes. But Moody seems like the guy who's going to come in and he could really earn himself a role.
Definitely. Like all those guys, like you said, Clay coming back. He's projected be back in December or January, something like that. You think he's I think he'll have like a small adjustment period. We kind of has to get his legs back underneath him.
Yeah,
but I mean, the jump shot always gonna be there though, if nothing else.
Right. Fortunately, he'll have time and he'll have, plenty of space to get his feet back under him and get that shot right. So I don't think that's really that big of a worry. I mean, he's probably the most mechanically sound shooter that's ever lived. So if there's anyone who can really find that shot instantly, that it would be him. But yeah, I mean, he's got guys to take pressure off him. I forgot, but you mentioned Poole earlier. There's a real chance that Poole can fill that role, at least until Clay gets back. And I think he looks like a guy that could be ready to take over when it's time.
Definitely. Then they brought Iggy back. I don't think he's a high minute guy anymore. No. But I think he's still a guy who can come in and give you 5 minutes of good defense and smart play, if nothing else. Draymond is still Draymond. He's going to come in, lock up defensively, get everybody on the same page. Wiggins was really good for them last year.
Yeah, I mean, Wiggins surprised a lot of people, I would say. I always was under the impression that he could still help out a team. He just kind of needed to be in the right space, and it didn't feel like the Timberwolves were ever really in the right situation for him. But he's got the talent, and playing next to guys that can really take a lot of pressure off him, like Steph and Dre, and hopefully Clay eventually. That I think that's done wonders for him. So yeah, I'm
Now he
impressed with
doesn't.
what he did last
Now,
year.
now that he doesn't have to try to be a lead for anybody now,
Hmm.
which was his position. He was always thrust into in Minnesota. They wanted him to take the leap, and him and Cat be the duo who lead him here and there. But some guys just not. That's just not them, and that wasn't him clearly. So it
Yeah,
is what it is.
that's okay. I mean, not everybody's that number one type of guy. Unfortunately for him, he did, he got all the comparisons possible coming into the league. So that's not his fault, but at the same time, that's what he's got to deal with. But I like that he's kind of found a smaller role for himself, and it's a good spot. So I'm also glad that he got vaccinated and stopped playing with that too.
Exactly. Then they can have him for the full season, and as usual, Steph is Steph.
Yep.
Steph just had his one of his best seasons ever. So he's not slowing down anytime soon. And he just got paid to keep going. So
Yeah, he somehow keeps getting better. I don't really understand it.
take the ball, put the ball in his hands, take it out of his hands. A bucket is a bucket. And he don't go get them. So
Yeah, I mean that game with him versus the Celtics, with him and Tatum just going back and forth was probably
that was a fun.
one of the best matchups I've seen in a while. That was amazing.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
And now that he got more complimentary help this season, and hopefully, as long as they all stay healthy and avoid the health and safety protocols, and they're gonna be fine. That's what kind of
Yeah.
knocked them out that little playoff spot last year because
Hmm.
they was on pace to shoot up. But then I think Steph got COVID and had to miss like 2 weeks or so.
Hmm.
And during the key run, so that kind of held them back. But they're gonna be right in the thick of it this year.
Yeah, I mean that team's probably gonna fall right around where I'm thinking the Clippers can get to this year. It's just how much how much Steph can really carry them for a while until he gets Clay back. But yeah, I would say that that's probably a middle of the pack team in the West. So that's where I'd put them for now.
I'm not sure how the rest of the conference goes. I could see Portland, Dallas. I could see them being around the same teams they were last season.
Hmm.
I especially don't think Dallas did much of anything to really make Luka's life easier.
No, they probably made it even worse by bringing in J Kidd. To be honest with you, I mean, I'm not a believer in what he can do as a coach. I guess we'll see what he does with a player like Luka. Um, but I thought that whole situation of Carlisle leaving and Kidd coming in was just really odd. But they really didn't do anything as far as off-season additions. There's nothing special there. They lost Jay Rich, who they didn't really know how to use in the first place. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see much new for that team. So it's just how much can Luka carry them. And Trailblazers, that's another team with questionable coaching pick. Um,
Very
not the
questionable.
direction, not the direction I would have taken. But I think I mean, I can't really predict that team to get any better, man. The Larry Nance pickup was good for them, but that's just a low seed in the Western Conference again. They're nothing special.
Exactly. So middle of the pack team, same as last season.
Hmm.
I'm waiting on the Pelicans to show me something that says they're gonna make the leap into a playoff team. I thought they could have been the last season, but
Hmm.
they blew like 12 double-digit leads.
Yeah, that team's a little weird, man. Kind of I kind of like their off season, I'll say. I mean, that they're trying, it seems, to like take the team in a direction that makes more sense around Zion. So that's all they got to do. It's not that hard, man. You'd think it wouldn't be that hard to build around a guy like that, but they've struggled so far, and hopefully they put something around him because I want to see that guy in the playoffs.
You got two all-star caliber players, him and Ingram.
Hmm.
It's like it's just maturity, I guess, for them. They just need to finish games.
Hmm.
Their best players, Zion and Ingram, again, need to lock in defensively. So I think they were both really passive and lazy on that end last season. especially in a lot of those games they've blown. Like, what was that game versus the Pacers where they all just let Brogdon walk in the paint for that layup to send the OT?
Yeah, I mean, Zion, for as freakish as he is as an athlete, he really needs to put in more effort on that defensive end to really solidify himself. Because I mean, you know a guy like that, what he's capable of. But like you said, him, Ingram, they just need to lock in. And with age, I think if they stay together for a while, that's a really solid duo. But it's just about them figuring out how to put the right guys around them. They just need more shooting. They need more, complementary pieces. So that team.
Who's their coach?
I don't know, man.
I
I
remember
actually
they fired Stam. I have no idea
yeah,
who they replaced him with.
I have no idea who the Pelicans coach is. I don't know if it was like an internal promotion for now or something. I never saw who they hired, and that's a little weird.
Oh man. Look, anybody listening to this, add us on the TL, tell us who the coach is.
Yeah.
Neither one of us has
If
an idea at the
does
moment.
does anyone know out there without Googling? Does anyone know?
I don't think they do. Oh man, I'm really looking at this. Not a playoff team. I'm looking at what Sam Presti gonna do the next couple of years. She got to put faces to those draft picks.
Nah, man, he's got a real addiction. To be honest with you, I'm a little worried about him. Um, he is when it comes to draft picks, he can't really resist himself. But yeah, no, you're totally right. He needs to put faces to it. I couldn't believe, man. I know you're a fan of Shy, but I could not believe that he was in like trade talks and stuff this summer. That was blowing my mind, man. Like I can't believe that.
Like it's actually you. That's the biggest sure thing on the roster, and the
Hmm.
closest thing you have to a long-term building block. And you have all these pieces. You're about to have some free cap space, so nobody's on your books. So it's like, what are you trying to go backwards for? It's like you
Right.
have this guy, see, throw them out there next season. If they win some extra games, then you expect them to, then just go from there.
Yeah, I mean that obviously we know that team's not going to be any good this season, but to think that they getting rid of their by far best player and literally all-star level talent was a good idea. That those rumors never made sense to me, but they felt real, like it really seemed like that was something they were entertaining, was trying to get a high draft pick for him, but I think he's in for a great season. Another guy I like on that team, Darius Baisley, another mass product. He had a really like weird season when you really look at it, but he took a step up from the season before. He looks like a guy that if he refines his game a bit, he's gonna get the touches this year. He looks like he could be 18 a night type of guy at least. So I'm looking for him to take a step up. They got a few guys that could really pop, if they develop right. So I don't know how I feel about Poku, but he's the type of guy that you watch, and I, it's cool that OKC took a shot on a guy like that. But I think that's what their plan is for now. Just grab as many kind of unknown guys as they can and see who really can take a leap to being a legit starter for them. So that's a weird team, but I think they'll be hopefully better to watch than last season because that was kind of pathetic, to be real with
Yeah,
you.
that was pitiful. And maybe if a disgruntled star who's probably not Ben Simmons ever becomes available, they have a decade worth of draft picks, so they might just throw something at the wall and just say, "Hey, let's try and see where
Yeah.
that goes."
I don't know if Philly wants anything from them, but man, I think that would have been a decent spot for Simmons to go. Just
Yeah,
take some of the pressure off him. He could get him and Shea could get that team
that'd be fun.
easily in playoff contention. They'd be right around that spot. I mean, that would be a good place to start. But again, I don't know if Philly is really looking for anything. But from
Philly
that
will
team,
want Philly will want Shea back in the deal for Ben.
they would. And if I was Presti, I'd laugh him off the phone.
Like, bro, get out of my face. Oh man, and let's see, last Western Conference teams. I do the we're never sold on the Jazz, of course. Shout out Donovan Mitchell though. That's my guy.
Yeah, he's coming to Boston in the next few years. Don't worry about that.
Yes, sir. Let's see, and my guy Ja Morant. You think the Grizz gonna hold on to that playoff spot for another season? Or are they right back in the play-in?
I think that depends on what they get from Jaren this year. You know, he was a non-factor when he got back last season at the end of the year, but I think that was understandable because he missed a big portion of the year. So if they get him back to what he's kind of been, projected to be, I think that team's right there. Probably middle of the pack team as well. Nothing special, but I think they have a chance to solidify themselves this year. And Ja is definitely that guy.
Definitely. All right, let's get to some little way too early award predictions. Give me get your rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. I mean, I want to say Cade, but at the same time, I think Jalen Green's going to get a lot of run this year, a lot of chance to shine. So for me, it's between those guys.
Evan Mobley, he right there too, I think.
Mobley's right there. I just worry if he's putting up those offensive numbers right away to keep him in there. I feel like rookie year, he's probably closer to, like 13 or 15 a game. I don't think he's going to pop like that for a few years. Once he gets stronger, he's going to be a problem. But I don't know if he can just hold his weight defensively to keep him in the race. He's going to be a problem defensively right off the bat, but I don't know if that's going to keep him in the rookie of the year race like that. But I see Jalen Green getting a lot of shots. And at the same time, though, Cade's going to be pretty much running that offense in Detroit, and he's going to have free reign once he gets healthy.
Absolutely. Detroit got some solid players for him to start with, too.
They do, man. They got an underrated roster as far as kind of the young guys they got on there. We'll see if Killian Hayes is able to put anything together this season because I have some faith in him. I think he can be a solid player. And then you got Isaiah Stewart, who was really one of the bigger surprises last year as far as rookies, I feel like.
And you got Sadiq.
Yeah, Sadiq's a baller. we all saw what he did to the Celtics. We don't need to rehash that, but yeah, he's good, man. That's along with Grant too. That's a pretty good lineup right there.
Grant is like a sort of veteran, I guess. At this point, you could say it. Mm-hmm. He's a 20-point per game guy as last season. He gonna make K life a lot easier. They'll give him a reliable guy he can just dish to and get a bucket real quick.
Yeah, that team will actually be. I'm kind of excited to watch them now that we talk about it.
Definitely. All right, you talked about your most improved picks earlier. Let me get like a few guys you got in that hunt.
All right, so top 3 for me. I'm going Miles Bridges. I'm going Terrence Mann. And I'm going Baisley. I think I talked about those 2 guys earlier. I think for Terrence Mann, you got a lot of touches available for him. So if he can really take those, like you said, Lou's not just gonna let anybody play, so he's got to earn it. But I think he's got a chance to really pop. Baisley, another guy with opportunity to get a lot of touches, and it's like easy to see where he could kind of increase his stats just all over the board pretty much. And Bridges is a guy that I've really liked since he came out of Michigan, basically. That was one of my favorite teams to watch as far as college teams in the past few years. But I think he's ready to really get to that next level. That Charlotte team, we didn't talk about them really, but that team's going to be tough.
They're going to be great.
Yeah.
See, Terry finally playing how we wanted him to play some years back, but I get it. He was trying to find himself in the league, and
Mm-hmm.
him and Melo really good off each other. If Hayward can stay healthy, of course. I think you named Bridges, but I think Melo makes both Bridges and PJ job a lot
Mm-hmm.
easier this season once he has full reign over the offense.
Yeah, I mean that team's got a lot a lot to be excited about. I think you say if Hayward can stay healthy, that's the big if for that team. But even if he doesn't, that's a big chance for guys like Bridges to really break out.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Let me get your got any defensive player of the year guys you're looking at besides the
That,
obvious
yeah,
Giannis, AD.
yeah, that's pretty consistent. I feel. I would say I I want to say someone from the Celtics could pop out there just if our defense is as good as I think it is, but it's kind of hard to narrow down which name the voters would go for that.
I could
I
see
feel like Tatum. I
I could
feel
see
like
Rob
Tatum
leading the league
hasn't
in
got.
blocks.
I could see him up there too, man. But
Yeah.
you got Rob, you got Tatum, you got Smart, all guys that could realistically kind of get like all defensive team, hype. But I don't know if any of them would be really good enough to get in that conversation. So I just feel like you can't really get away from the obvious picks. Like Gobert, he's going to be in that conversation. AD obviously going to be in that talk again. So yeah, we'll see, but I don't really have any guys that I'm expecting to kind of come out of nowhere. Maybe if Jonathan Isaac finally plays, he'll get himself in that discussion, but we'll see.
I just see Bam getting up in there this year too.
That's true. Bam, yeah, he definitely deserves more hype for that award.
If Simmons doesn't play a game, but Philly is still like top 4 in the East, I can see Embiid throwing his name in there.
Hmm.
I think Embiid has become kind of an underrated defender. I say because so much hype was on Ben and Tybal like last year. In the
Yeah.
past like couple of years, that we kind of forgot that Embiid is one of like the best defensive bigs in the league.
Yeah, I mean the reason those guys can really do what they do defensively is because Embiid's holding everything down on the back line. So yeah, he doesn't get enough respect for the type of defender he is. He's amazing.
We know what Giannis is doing down in Milwaukee.
Hmm.
Rudy Gobert is sitting at home with Giannis Defensive Player of the Year trophy in his closet.
Yeah, man. I think there needs to be some type of rework for this award because when you reward players for what they do in the regular season, when they just completely fall apart on that end in the playoffs, it just doesn't feel right to me. But I guess
Exactly.
that's a conversation.
Especially when they withhold MVP from guys, they don't make it
Hmm.
further in the playoffs and they have to. So it's like, how are you still giving this one out to the second round exit guy? But the 2-time MVP just kind of blackballed out the whole discussion when he's still the same players from the year before. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I don't get it.
Doesn't make any sense. Lead the league in scoring. I just see Tatum getting up there this year.
Yeah, I mean, I he's got every chance, especially if he ups those free throws like you'd expect. If he's getting close to 10 a game on free throws, that's gonna get him close to 30 a game, and that's basically where Beal and Curry were at last year. So those guys, you obviously got Beal and Curry, you got to expect them to be up there again. Um, I mean, Beal seems to insist that he's staying in Washington, so I don't put it past him that he has a big type of year, especially with Westbrook out of the mix. So yeah, I mean that would probably be my pick, to be honest with you. He's just gonna take unlimited shots. He's not deferring to Kyle Kuzma, man.
No, he's not. Bill. I could see KD or Harden getting up in there if Kyrie isn't gonna play at all.
Yep, that's true.
And last but not least, early MVP.
Yeah, like I said, that's probably the same mix of guys where you got Jokic, you got Embiid, you got Giannis in there, but dark horse again, Paul George for me, Tatum as well. just it really depends how these standings shake out. But if Paul George gets, top four, top three standing somehow, that's really MVP kind of caliber right there. Same for Tatum. If but I think Tatum would really have to be, top two in the East to get that type of talk. But I don't put it past him. I think we're in for a big season.
I just see the voters finally having like a legitimate case to give to Luca if he manages to get the Mavs in the top four in the West.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all like it's obviously early predictions right now, but it's just whoever of these guys is able to really kind of cement themselves in that top tier of each conference is going to have, the votes given to them. So yeah, if Luca can manage to get top four in the West, then that's a guy that would obviously start getting the votes. Same with Tatum. I would like to see young players like that really get in the mix. That'd be awesome.
Definitely. I just see maybe Trey trying to weasel his way into like a slight consideration if the Hawks can like stay on like the pace they were looking like they're going to be on from last season. Like not top five or anything. I could see as some like he gets a hot streak and they'd be like, why isn't he MVP? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, he's a guy that could get that type of talk. You're right.
Yeah. He won't win it, of course, but like just good month of basketball. Hey, Trey is
Yeah,
that's probably the most part to go.
why is nobody talking about Trey Young
Yeah.
as MVP? Yeah, you'll see that a lot.
Yeah, you know how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate you coming on. But in the end of every episode, I do a top five segment where I ask you a handful of questions specifically for you.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, let's get after it.
Let's get it as usual. The generic basketball question. Let me get your 5 favorite players.
5 favorite players. I don't know if I can order them off the top of my head, but we got Jalen, we got Tatum, of course. Can't leave those two out. Harden's in there for me. To be honest with you, this might be a crazy pick already, but I'm going Anthony Edwards in the mix right there.
Ant-Man.
I think I think Ant's probably a mix of coolest and best players in the league already. So he's up there for me. And man, I don't want to leave Marcus Smart out of there. I don't know if I can do that to him.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I can do that to him, man. But I would say Shy is probably in that top tier as well for me. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. He's just so crafty with it. So I mean, him and Marcus would probably be fighting for that last spot.
I feel you. All right, that's what we've all been in the house a lot the last year. I mean, 5 shows. Your 5 favorite shows. Doesn't have to be recently,
shows.
but just in general.
That's a good question. Number one show I got into over this past year was Peaky Blinders. That's one of the better shows I've watched, man. I would recommend that to anyone who's looking for a new show to watch. That one's just really good throughout the whole show. New season coming out sometime soon. Another show I watched, I'll preface this by saying extremely corny. You got to get around some of the corniness, but All American. There's just an enjoyment factor that I like if I'm just chilling. That show, I don't know. Sometimes it fulfills what I'm looking for, but very corny. A lot of it, just like the CW shows are, like The Flash, like very corny type show. But I don't know. There's some good stuff going on there. That one's good. Man, I started Attack on Titan. I tried to get deep into that. I enjoy to be real with you, I'm not the biggest anime guy, like I try. There's some stuff that I can enjoy out there, and my roommates were watching that one too. So, that show I did like it as far as animes go. That one was pretty good for me. I'm blanking on what else I've watched recently, but we got the classics, Breaking Bad, that's top tier for me. I've gone back recently, rewatched Friday Night Lights. That's another great show to me. So that would probably round up my top 5 for now.
Nice, nice. What about Snowfall? That's not in your top 5?
Oh man, see, you reminded me of that one. That's what I mean. I'm blanking on the spot, but Snowfall, I can't wait till that gets back because that
Yeah,
is probably one of my favorite recent shows. That show is just so well done. I can't say
yeah.
enough about that.
Great show, great show. I think I watched it like, I watched it like right after you had finished watching it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was
yeah.
like late last
I'm
year. That's when I started.
Yeah, I mean Franklin, man, what a character that is. I
What
mean that
a
that that show is special, man.
what a ride.
Seriously.
And last one. What's on your playlist? Some of your 5 favorite artists.
5 favorite artists on the playlist. You know, top of my head, I'm a big Lil Baby guy. I like Lil Durk a lot too. They got the collab album that just
Uh,
came out
Lil
a
Baby
little
don't
bit
miss either.
ago. Nah, he's never missed, man. To be real with you, it's never heard a bad song by him. Obviously, Gunna's in that category. Um, you know, Meek with that new album, I've really been enjoying him recently. Honestly, this might be kind of a low key pick too, but Roddy Rich really kind of he's up there for me. Him, Young Thug, definitely in that last spot too.
Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna give you one more at this started right now.
All right,
So we ain't really touch on it. Let me get 5 topics you want to write about for this incoming season.
5 topics. You know, I mean, I'm working on one right now. I kind of mentioned that. That's about Boston, Massachusetts Hoopers. I'm trying to get that out before the start of the season, so I'm making good progress on that. That should be out before the first game of the season. So within the next few days, I'm hoping to wrap that one up. Um, I would, if I can, if I can really bring myself to do it, go back and watch some of last year's clips and stuff like that, and try and draw comparisons between Ime and Brad. I think that would be interesting to watch. Um, I do want to do some, like within the season, kind of just looking at what players are really doing. Not any player specifically, but if someone's standing out. Um, like say Langford's really having a breakout year or something, I'd like to take a look and break down what exactly he's doing well and how he's gained some traction from last year. Um, Other things, maybe just continue to stretch out into other teams. I don't obviously want to be completely Celtics focused
Yeah,
for the rest of my writing career. Wherever I take it, it would be important to branch out to other teams. Um, and I think I need one more. It's tough. I, you know, I don't know which direction I want to take it with, but uh, I think maybe off the spot I would say like post game kind of just wrap ups of what went down in each game and kind of break down some of the moments of those games. That'd be kind of fun to do.
definitely, definitely. Looking forward to it, man. Everyone you done so far is like really well done. I said
Yeah,
I
thank
enjoyed reading them all, especially the one on footwork. That was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that took me way too long, I'll tell you that. But it was just life going on. It was just a lot going on. So I probably started that one a month before it came out, and I want to do better than that. That's probably a goal I have is to just kind of give myself more, not limits on time, but just to make sure that I'm on top of stuff and just not let that really happen again. But that one was very fun to write and do research for because that's something that I pride myself on in my own game is, having the footwork down. So that was
Yes, sir.
definitely cool to write.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Need
Yeah.
all that. But Alex, I appreciate you coming on, me brother.
Thank you, man. Let's do it again sometime.
Oh, definitely, definitely. We got a long season ahead. We don't be that.
Yeah, we got a good season ahead too.
Yes, sir. 50 wins, Eastern Conference Finals trip.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we
you're aiming a
slip
little
into the
too low
finals.
for me right there.
I said Celtics in 6 all the way, baby.
Yes, sir.
You already know. But all right, bro. Appreciate you.
All right, man.